Díogh go léir cóide agus tá fáilte ród. Welcome to Wild Geese, brought to you by Mary Honan, me Mary Honan. Now, as many of you might know, Wild Geese deals with the subject of diaspora, or people coming to Ireland and people leaving Ireland for various reasons, and what their lives are like in this country and what their lives are like all over the world. And one of our colleagues in a previous incarnation on radio, and very much a colleague with us still, is Ger Leddin from Limerick. Ger, hi, how are you?
Hi Mary, how are you?
Sure, I'm grand, Ger.
Nice to see your radiant smile again.
Jeepers, it took us so long to get this up and running because I think the internet is very slow on one of our sites.
Buenas tardes.
Buenas tardes. And Ger, you're living now in Spain, and you're from Limerick, and you're a journalist and photographer and many things, broadcaster, animal lover. Tell us why you chose to move out of Ireland and how life is for you now.
Long story. I just got, I write a lot. I write for, can I give a plug?
Yes, plug away.
I write for two online magazines, Meanwhile in Ireland and Ireland Before You Die. I can do that from anywhere in the world. I love the sea. I love the Mediterranean. It was just time to for me personally, it was just time to leave. And I got two kids, you know, they've grown up, married with long-term partners, that kind of thing. It's just time was right.
Yeah. And but
so I went first to Portugal.
I was just about to say that to you.
And then moved to Spain.
Yeah. Which do you prefer? You liked Portugal, didn't you?
I like Portugal. It's more touristy.
Yeah.
Spain is, I'm in a tiny village. The mayor is my next door neighbor. I asked him this morning, doing research for this, what's the population of the village? It's 1,500. Out of that, there's about 100 expats. There's only, you'll hear the village bells, the church bells.
That's lovely.
There's about 1,000 expats. It's about 100 expats.
I was just going to say the whole village is Irish, so.
No. 1,500 is the population. Out of that, then there's about 100 there's about 3 or 4 Irish people, and the rest would be either English or Dutch.
Yeah.
You know, so we have a little tight community here. It's a nice place. About 20 minutes from the sea, 40 minutes from Malaga Airport. It's nice, relaxed. Most people speak Spanish. Very, very little English spoken here among the locals. And you've got a nice, quiet little life. Cost of living is cheap. Weather is normally very good, although today we're meant to get storms. It's laid back, cool. There's no issues, But I have to say I do prefer Spain to Portugal. Just me personally,
And how does it differ? I mean, obviously, weather-wise, it differs greatly. Obviously, weather-wise, it differs greatly from Ireland. That goes without saying, but.
When I left Ireland first, I moved to Portugal. I was on holidays, and I moved around the place a fair bit, seeing what I like it. When I got to the end of July in my first year, I'm abroad now about 4 years. It got very hot. It wasn't, a nice place in the heat. People are inclined to get stressed out. It does get quite hot out here. I just felt the time was right for a move, and I drove to Spain, not knowing where I was going to end up. I took 2 or 3 days. As you know, I'm traveling with my dog, Honan. We took a couple of days to drive along the coast and camped a bit, came by via Gibraltar, and basically I was looking for a parking space, looking for some place to stay the night. A camping site or a hotel. It was the 1st of August. Every place was full. I tried Fungirola, Marbella. Couldn't even get a parking space.
Really,
And
I'd imagine they're completely built up.
my son had spent
Tourists.
some time. My son had spent some time in Nerka, so the name just stuck in my head. I tried. I put in camping sites near Nerka. I was getting to 5 o'clock in the afternoon. It brought me to a camping site in Torre del Mar, which is a big town on the coast. Couldn't get a camping site. Ended up sleeping in the Jeep. Well, I had a tent inside the Jeep. I wasn't that bad. And couldn't get a place to stay for about a month.
Mm.
So just camping for a month,
Yeah.
which was a bit of an effort, or a bit, wasn't the nicest thing. I met a girl, Sue Derrick. She runs a restaurant out here, La Vaccaria, one night, and a friend of hers, she knew of a house to rent. I came out, and I would have moved into Mountjoy at that stage.
Mountjoy, for anyone who doesn't know, is one of our most infamous, I suppose, jails, prisons here in Ireland, in Dublin, Mountjoy.
And I've been here for 3.5 years now.
And how's the language going, Ger?
Un poquito.
Tell me now you don't. You have to tell me you're fluent. If I was there for 6 months,
very,
I'd
very
be
bad.
having to learn it.
It's the one problem I have about where I live. It's like trying to learn English in Connemara. The locals here, Andalus, is very accented. They drop a lot of letters. It's hard to pick it up. Yeah, I can buy a drink. I can say via Malaga. I'm going to Malaga today, but I can't. I have difficulty saying I was in Malaga yesterday.
And would you not take classes?
Actually, Mary, I've taken about 100 of them. I'm just old.
You just haven't an aptitude for languages.
A lot of people take it up. You'll always find somebody. Google Translate is great. It is an issue. I mean, I have to be conscious of it. Especially, I've got very good friends here who are Spanish, and into administration, and red tape in Spain is diabolical. It's very red tapey.
Yeah, it's a bit like France. They say France is very red taped as well, and Italy.
Yeah, I mean the red tape here is bad. You'll hear opening, shaking stuff there. Yeah, it is hard to open a bank account, to buy a mobile phone, get an internet connection. Yeah, you need what they call an NIE number, which is kind of like a social insurance number, whatever we'd have, or you have in Ireland. Once you get that, which takes about 4 days, 2 days.
Okay, it's not so bad.
Yeah, it's not so bad, but you need somebody who speaks Spanish. Anybody thinking about moving to Spain, I would advise either learn the language, which you're hardly going to do to that level of officialdom, or I think I probably mispronounce this now, but a lot of people here use gestors, Gestors, which are kind of paralegals who take you by the hand, bring you in.
Well, wouldn't you think that we're all part of the EU? And wouldn't you think that we'd have almost a universal language of diplomacy and officialdom?
No.
Wouldn't you?
The one thing I learned, I mean, I've been in Brussels a few times at EU delegations and things like that. It doesn't seem to matter. I mean, if you want an honest interview, I mean, I love the Spanish people. I mean, I'm living here out of choice, and it's a beautiful place to live, don't get me wrong. But I honestly think when I came to Spain first, I thought that the EU, we're all members of the EU, it doesn't work. There are different rules, different regulations, there are different laws. And we have to respect the Spanish laws. I'm not knocking them, but there is no great big brotherhood of Europeans. There are, in the small day-to-day things, there are big differences.
But you can see that here in our own country, Ger, with the price of cars and things like that. It's like our government can put on whatever they like on the price of anything, and you're saying to yourself, but if you buy a car in Belgium or you buy a car
Yeah.
anywhere in the world, surely you should be able to, as long as it's part of Europe, you should be able to bring it from one country to another and buy it in Spain cheaper.
No, you
but you
can't
should
do
be
that.
able to.
Yeah, a lot of that's one issue that a lot of people have out here is bringing cars from Ireland or the UK. You can only keep them for, I think it's 3 months, and you have to then re-register them in Spain. You've got to pass an ET-UB, which is what we call an MOT or an they call it the ITV. It's pronounced ET-UB.
Even if you bought a brand new car?
Well, no, it doesn't apply to brand new cars. But I mean, and to buy a car out here is quite difficult. There's a lot of paperwork. To import a car is quite difficult. And second-hand cars are very, very expensive.
Yeah.
In Spain, for some reason. I suppose they don't rust or whatever. Excuse me. That is.
You would think that being part of the European Union, that
no, I was disappointed, to be honest.
There would be one universal language of officialdom.
No, it doesn't work like that, and it's quite different.
I know it doesn't, but I fully believe. We talk about being part of this. Many people talk about this wonderful.
No, and I mean, again, to be a little bit political, I remember at the time of the whole Brexit debate, a lot of my friends out here are living in the UK, and some would have been pro-Brexit and some would have been anti-Brexit. But a lot of people said that. One friend of mine, he said, now God rest him, made a valid comment once. He said, us, Anglo-Saxons, Irish, English, whatever we call ourselves, okay? We follow the rules. Brussels makes a rule, we follow them.
Yeah.
Other countries, Brussels make a rule and everybody ignores it. And there's a lot of, you can see that happening occasionally,
Yeah.
It is difficult. Opening a bank account is a nightmare, and you need one. Even for me,
it can be difficult here in this country as well to open a bank account, especially if you're not from Ireland. And even if you're from Ireland, it's difficult enough.
Yeah, even to buy a mobile phone out here now is quite difficult. You need an NIE number. To open, as I said, an internet account, you need an NIE number. No, I'm sorry, I don't want to give the wrong impression. I mean,
no.
Spanish people are lovely. They're a very family-oriented society. They're very helpful, very friendly. But it's just officialdom. And it's probably my fault because I'm not. I'd be fairly good on public service and civil service rules and regulations in Ireland. Out here, I haven't got a clue. As I said, my next door neighbour is the mayor. It's a whole different political system.
Yeah.
Spain. You've got 3 or 4 different police services. The mayors have a lot more authority and more power.
Yes, they do, don't they? More so than here in Ireland.
Yeah, I mean, the mayors hire and fire, that kind of stuff. There's a local police, there's the Guardia, there's a Police Nacional, there's all sorts of... I'm constantly asking. I've 2 friends who are Spanish, and I'm constantly asking their advice and guidance. And
do you think you're going to have to, one way or another, get to terms with the language?
Yeah, well, I'm getting by.
You must feel disenfranchised. Or disadvantaged, even.
Yeah, I mean, I can get by. I mean, I was in what I have found, and I think probably half the problem. Every time I have a few pints in me, I become fluent in Spanish. No, I've had conversations with taxi drivers and people behind the bar or at parties with Spanish people, and I'm absolutely fluent. And I think that's just relaxation.
It is. It's a muscle. Your brain's a muscle.
I get uptight. I said to somebody, I said to a little child yesterday, was walking with her. His mother outside, it was a toddler outside my house, and I said, Buenos tardes, whatever. And then I kind of waved at the child and said, Hola, guapa, which is hello. Guapa is, beautiful or good looking. But guapa refers to the female gender, whereas I should have said, and the mother got a little bit nasty. She turned around and said, "Guapo." In other words, he's a boy, not a girl. You know, this
Yeah,
little
yeah,
child
yeah.
had blonde hair. I didn't know what it was,
You
but I
won't
should
make that
have.
mistake again, though.
No, but I'm always doing it. I mean, I told somebody once I was, I tried to say I was embarrassed. I said, "Estoy embarazado," which means I'm pregnant. You know, it's easy
Oh,
to
well,
make
there's
that.
a challenge.
Yeah.
You-
It's easy to make that kind of mistake. There are a few. I've another few as well, which aren't suitable for broadcast. I'll tell you off air. But it is nice, and I do find that the expats, be they English or Irish, we are inclined to be a sort of an extended family, which is nice, and that's why the lockdown has kind of removed that from us. We'd normally meet you'd meet somebody for coffee, a beer in the afternoon, in the evening, whatever, and everybody. I would know all the expats, and they'd know me. But because that's been removed from us now by the lockdown, which is easing a little bit tomorrow. The pubs are open here tomorrow, but it has removed that crutch that we have, which is unfortunate.
Yeah. That brings us nicely as a segue into my next question. What is life in lockdown like in Spain?
I haven't been
Or
outside.
have you lockdown?
Oh, we have, and it's very strict. Now, it is easing tomorrow.
Yeah, every place is easing.
Yeah, we're a little bit ahead of you in that the bars are opening tomorrow. What happened was they did relax some of the lockdown rules last week, but the province of Malaga, where I live, and the province of Granada were not. The numbers of Malaga were not included, but we are included from tomorrow on, which means the bars can open only outside on terraces, which they can do here. You can't do in Ireland. And only up, because you've got the weather, and only up to, I think it's about 50% capacity.
Mm.
So, for example, up to now, I could not go outside the village. I wasn't allowed to drive outside the village. From tomorrow, I can drive within my province. Like, for example, Malaga province is roughly the size of Munster. But I can't, for example, go to Barcelona. I can't go to Madrid or Sevilla or wherever. I have to stay within my province.
Yeah.
You weren't allowed. You weren't allowed to have two people in the car. You weren't allowed to drive. You weren't when it started first. You weren't actually allowed out unless you were going to buy necessities, like, for example, chemist or to do shopping. You were expected to only shop maybe once a week, which doesn't suit me because I just go to the shop and buy what I need, what I feel like. They were quite strict, and only up to about 2 weeks ago, children were not allowed inside the front door for about 2 months.
Yeah.
Which is very difficult.
Must be incredibly difficult for families.
Again, in fairness,
imagine having 8 or 9 children locked inside the house for 24 hours.
There are particular time slots for them to go out. Now, it doesn't apply here because the village is so small. But in bigger towns, kids can only go up. I'm not sure what the times are between certain times. Like, I know an English lady living in Nerka. She had a new granddaughter at the start of the lockdown, and she hasn't seen it, which she's seen it now, I think. But she wasn't able to see her new grandchild, who lived maybe a mile away from her, for 2 months.
Yeah.
There are things like that.
Very hard. Yeah, but I mean, I'm in lockdown since the middle of March, because I started lecturing in Mary Immaculate here, and I wasn't in there a few weeks when we were in.
Coke, by the way.
Drink away. When we were closed down, when it closed down, so I've been since middle of March in the house. Now I'm lucky, I'm an only child, So I've been used to my own company. But when it's forced on you, it starts to
It does.
get you. It
Yeah.
starts to get to your mind. If we hadn't started up doing our shows the way we're doing them online first, to try and introduce people, I suppose, to our concept behind LyrMedia.tv. It's been a while trying to get it to this stage, just as we were about to start and get the equipment in. Lockdown happened and nobody was allowed move, so we couldn't get equipment to finish off the station. Hence we decided, I saw the power of Zoom and thought, well, wouldn't it be wonderful if we did the shows? And they're really taking off. But
I know the quality may not be perfect. I don't have a green screen or blue screen behind me.
yeah, but you know, that in itself has its own idiosyncrasies and has its own appeal, because people out there not just get to know you as Ger Leddin, but they also get to see you in your natural habitat, so to speak. And of course, you can always find the nicest corner. I should have actually turned this, so my hairspray on the back on the coffee table. Not that I used any hairspray today, but doesn't seem to be. Yeah, there you go. You know,
yeah, I mean, there are strange times. My son Stephen was meant to, and his partner Jill were meant to come out this week or next week, but they can't. You know, I was looking forward to it. Yeah, we've all kind of we're all making sacrifices. Funnily enough, I'm writing a piece for the local papers here, and I interviewed an Irish girl who's stuck in Grenada, but she's a counsellor or psychotherapist.
Yeah.
But she made a very valid point that at the moment in lockdown, we're talking about relationships, and that, or we drift into talking about relationships. Everything is more intense. You know, if you're happy, you feel happier. If you're sad, you feel much sadder.
Yeah.
It's a weird time. We haven't experienced this before. My mum's in a nursing home in Westbury, at Dunkirk, Westbury. People can't go up and see her. You know, my kids can't go see her. I can't go back and see her. She's doing well, thank God. And you know, a big shout out to the staff at Dunkirk. I think people are doing fantastic. People like that are doing a fantastic job.
But you know, don't you think, like me, Ger, that the nursing staff and the doctors and the care staff and all of those should have been the very, very first to have been tested?
Yeah, no, I'm not sure, Mary. I'm not sure the situation in Ireland. I don't know. I watch.
You know, they weren't tested here at first.
I read the German.
It's only now they're starting to be tested.
Yeah, but I won't comment. I don't know. I presume I agree with you.
No, but what's it like in Spain?
I don't know.
You don't.
You see, I can't read the Spanish papers as such. You know.
Yeah. You do. Yeah.
No, I know the small things. I mean, yesterday morning we were all waiting to find out would the lockdown restrictions be eased.
Yeah.
We didn't find out until yesterday. As I said, my neighbour is the mayor, and he's also on the local health board and that. But he had told me that there was no cases of the virus in our village, Benamagosa, which is an absolutely gorgeous little village, and that we're quite proud of that. The fact that
I don't think there's been any here in Limerick either.
Other has.
I don't think so. I haven't heard of. I could be wrong.
No, I think
but I think it's, for me, I think it's probably places that are completely densely populated. The likelihood of them being.
I know of people in Limerick who.
Do you?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. But here, as I said, we're all. At least I was on tenterhooks yesterday, and I presume everybody was. Would the restrictions be eased?
Yeah. What do you think of the idea of easing the restrictions? Do you think that it's right, or do you think it's?
I think what we have to do. I mean, you've got all this question about civil liberties, and I've seen various journalists on television giving out about them. I think we have to do it. It has to be done. You have to.
I do too, Ger. I agree
And
with
again,
you.
I don't like quoting facts that I have just read on Facebook, but I mean, I've come across or I read about a particular peace commissioner in Ireland who said that, I don't want to misquote him, but there was a big debate on Facebook. A lot of people criticized him, but he seemingly tweeted that people, 90 plus, whatever, late 80s, 90 plus, I think he used, should be prepared to pop their clogs so that the rest of us go out and enjoy
Jesus,
ourselves.
that's a horrible thing to say.
It was, and I noticed his Twitter accounts. I mean, my mom is 89 today. Like, you've got to do it. Now, again, I mean, I was talking to somebody back in Ireland, and they made a valid point. There is only so much that people will actually, are mentally and physically able to do. We are
Yeah.
social animals. We will take chances. We will go out. We will break rules.
But I've heard people saying, especially elderly people in Britain, I heard them saying, that they objected to a label being put on people because they reach a certain age, because they said many of us have never been sick in our lives. Many of us are very healthy. We're probably a lot healthier than somebody a third of our age or half of our age or whatever, and that it's ageist to be pigeonholing and saying, 70-year-olds, 80-year-olds, 90-year-olds can't go outside the door between certain hours, because straight away it's putting those people into a bracket of frail, delicate people who have all got underlying conditions. Now, I know my grandmother was never sick a day in her life. She was 84.
Yeah, I think what
when
we
she
have
died.
to do, and again, from watching, Tony Honan giving his press briefings and that, I think they're doing a fairly good job.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, I mean, to be honest, we need to follow their advice.
Look, I don't think anybody has a hard and fast solution. I think everyone is winging it in a situation like this. And I think people are just trying to find the right solution for the right circumstances.
Well, I mean, President Trump has all the answers.
Well, he always does, in fairness.
Sorry. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
What happens? What are we going to do if eventually he's proven right?
Yeah.
That all his nonsensical ideas are actually something says, "Oh, he was right."
But I mean, I'm hoping that it's all an act with him, and that he's playing to the camera, and that he's, because when you look at the interview he did many years ago with Oprah Winfrey, it was an extraordinary interview. It was presidential. It was, even Oprah said to him, "Would you not think of going for president?" It was just a completely different person.
I don't know.
They're a lifetime away from each other, and either he's a completely media genius who has said to himself, "I'm going to speak to the people who have not got an education and will understand the way I talk or like the way I talk, and therefore I'll get voted, or I'll say what I want to say, and the media will actually come behind me, and they'll all no matter what's on, no matter what tragedy has happened, they'll come in on my tweet, so I'll get the media for that day." I don't know whether he's a media genius or an idiot. I'm not quite sure.
Not sure. I won't comment in case he's listening.
But I'm not quite sure. So he could be any one of those. He could be on that diagram, that scale from genius to idiot.
President Trump, if you're listening, you can phone in at any time. But I don't know. But getting back to being,
we have to respect him because he is the leader of of the American people, and he represents the American people. And I think
No.
you know, a lot of the insults that are being
Well,
hurled
you
towards him
might
are
respect.
also being hurled towards the American people, and that's wrong.
Well, I mean,
You know,
you can respect the office without necessarily
you have to
respecting.
respect the office. That's what I'm saying.
Okay,
You know, you don't have to respect a person's actions. You certainly don't, but you have to respect the office he holds.
But what was I going to say to you? Yeah, but getting back to being Irish abroad, I do find that we are inclined to stick together. You know,
That's what I was going to ask you next.
yeah.
Do you find, like in America, that where people tend to congregate, the Irish around Boston and the Italians all congregate together, and Jewish groups tend to always stay together? And I think it's probably what helped Jewish people after World War II was the fact that they stayed together and they helped each other to cope with it. Do you think that the Irish in Spain, as particularly where you're living, have helped each other to
I've
integrate?
spoken. Yeah, we do, especially among the expats here. Like the Irish are in minority. I for a few weeks there before the lockdown, I was spending quite a bit of time in America, and there's a lovely girl. She's actually a neighbour of yours, originally from Garryowen in Limerick, Stacey Wall. She runs a bar in Nerca, and
Oh, you said that, yeah.
her dad, you know, was often there as well. And her, obviously being from Limerick, we just gelled. And I was talking to Stacey yesterday as I'm interviewing her for what I'm writing. You know, they have a bar, they can't open it. I mean, it was closed for 2 months. They're hoping to open it tomorrow. She's trying to work hard. But I used to enjoy going in there because even with my accent, if I'm speaking to English people, they find it hard to understand me.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're speaking to a Limerick person or an Irish person, you can relax, and you know, it's just easier. We do gel, and I think we do help each other out a fair bit. It happened to me in Portugal. I had what was a nasty experience at the time, but my bank card was swallowed up.
Oh God,
And I
jeepers!
literally not 25 cents in my pocket. No cigarettes, no petrol. But I'm going to be straight here. There was members of the traveling community staying in where I'm staying. I had met them briefly the night before,
Yeah.
or a few nights before. They were the only people I could turn to. They were Irish. Borrowed 20 quid off your man. Went, you know, got petrol, got cigarettes. Rang my bank in Ireland, AIB. Absolutely brilliant service. Within 4 or 5 hours, I had 300 quid lodge, or you know, in a wire transfer into a post
Your
office.
account.
I had cash. Went back the following morning to give my man back his 20 quid. Wouldn't take it. He said it'd be bad luck. He said when you're Irish, you're never on your own. And that actually, when you are in a strange country on your own,
That's so lovely. And you know, the traveling community gets such bad press, and they don't deserve all of it. You know, they don't. I mean,
no.
yes, there
I
are
turned I
cases.
turned to this guy.
Absolutely.
I turned to this guy because Irish. I was stuck. And I mean, I rang my son, and my son said,
That's lovely, and that's a
get you
that's a
out money.
lovely look on the
You know,
traveling community.
and in fairness, we give out about the banks, but Allied Irish Bank were exceptionally efficient, and they contacted some wire service who rang me from Florida and told me, look, it'll be there within, you know, it took about 4 hours. But it's a thing that we don't realize. When you're on your own, traveling, you do need that bit of backup. And having an Irish passport and being Irish does actually mean a lot. There's so few of us. I mean, as I said, there's only 4 of us in the village.
Yeah.
There's a couple here from Cork. They bought a house here. I met them a few months ago. They moved out probably the week before the lockdown to find that their new house was flooded.
Mm.
Then they're locked down, no water in a flooded house, blah, blah, blah. You know, I mean, and they're stuck here.
God.
But, you know, you try, and I'll advise them with a builder. There's a very good builder I got, you know, I recommend it, or well, other people recommended him.
I thought you were going to get down to work.
Yeah, I must be
Start
joking.
hammering things. I thought,
But,
God, Ger has become domesticated.
There's things like that. There's another chap who lives in a village close enough to me. He came out here a couple of months ago. His health probably wouldn't be the best. He's stuck here now. People are looking after him. There's another chap who's been here for 20 years. He's Irish as well, and he couldn't be more helpful to me.
Yeah.
And even we do kind of bond.
Yeah.
Which is nice. I would probably in the unusual situation in that when people talk about the expats, most of the expats here are English. So I would obviously kind of congregate with them. I would mix with them, have a few pints, and because
Isn't that lovely in itself?
It is. Yeah, it is nice, and we do, and that's why, as I said, the lockdown.
Anglo-Irish relations.
Yeah, but the lockdown is so difficult because we're used to meeting for coffee, we're used to having a beer, we're used to going to each other's houses, helping each other. I rang a girl this morning, a friend of mine, an English girl. I don't have a car here, I have a motorbike, but I need to bring the dog for his shots. And this is the first week I can do it. She'll give me a lift to the vet on Thursday.
Yeah.
We do help each other out. We kind of put together, and that's one thing which is good.
Yeah. And you started working with these two. Are they magazines or newspapers?
They're online magazines, websites. One is, I write under a pseudonym for one. It's all satire and fun
I know,
stuff.
I saw it. Do you know it's causing an awful lot of confusion because a lot of people actually believe it's true.
Yeah, well,
and you see people saying, "Isn't that awful?" And then you're going back to them and saying on Facebook,
Yeah, it's called Meanwhile in Ireland, and I had some fake news story about a 7-year-old child being arrested by the Gardaí for breaking lockdown.
I saw that. The amount of people who were saying, "Oh, for God's sake!"
She ends up beating up the guard, and her grandmother's tasered and all this kind of stuff. I mean, it's nonsense. It's kind of a bit of a go, I gotta be honest, on some Irish journalists who were in the news recently. But it's, one girl last night contacted me on Facebook, and I said, actually, I wrote it. I said, I'm actually from Limerick, and she thought it was funny. It's lighthearted. It's satire. The format is, it starts off as a kind of it's clickbait. It starts off as a kind of a news story, which might be believable, and it gets more.
And when I saw it first, and I knew it was about Limerick and it was negative, I was just going to say, well, the cheek of ye writing all these posting about Limerick like that.
But see,
I saw it was Meanwhile in Ireland, and I said, "Oh, Ger Leddin, stop it."
Yeah, but I use a pseudonym. Look, being from Limerick, I can say, like Jerry Stembridge could call Limerick Stab City. I can call Limerick Stab City. I don't like when somebody else does it, but I think, to be honest,
but it's not.
We laugh at each other. We have a black sense of humor.
Yes, and a lot of people don't recognize our black comedy.
And we know we are the best city in Ireland. So we're very confident that. So
we are, and we're the bravest city in Ireland for centuries. We've stood up as a defense for our own city and our own citizens in this city. We're not afraid as a city, as a people, but I don't think we're treated. I think we're treated abysmally in the media.
Well, I suppose we're like a middle
child. Media.
We're like a middle child. We're not the eldest. We're not the youngest. We're not the biggest city in the country. We're not the smallest. We're stuck in the middle, So I suppose we always feel that way. Unfortunately,
well, we're the second largest. We're the second oldest city by 2 years, I think.
Yeah, but
Dublin is 2 years older than us.
I thought Waterford was the oldest city.
No, Waterford and Limerick are the same, as far as I know.
Oh, not
And
sure.
then and Dublin is a year or two older.
Yeah, not sure, Mary, but we don't have a massive population. We are, I suppose, Limerick people. We do suffer from the curse of St. Munchin.
Yeah,
Uh,
where
that,
natives will perish, strangers will flourish.
that's a pity, but that's changing. I mean, we've got a lot going. I mean, I mean, is there any other city in Ireland that plays rugby like Limerick people do?
Is there any cities what in
That
Ireland
plays
that can?
that can play rugby as well as Limerick people?
No, and it's just I'm just looking here to see oldest city in Ireland. Oh, you're right, Ger.
Waterford.
I bow to your superior knowledge, oh master. Waterford is Ireland's oldest city, and despite boasting a history of over 1,000 years, Waterford just keeps coming out with more surprises. The first city, the Vikings re-established themselves in Ireland at Waterford in 914, led at first by
I thought you'd have been aware of that, or you'd have been there at the time as a young. Granted,
You
as a
know,
young.
I'm many things. Methuselah, I'm not. And after that, by Ragnall Emer, among the most prominent rulers of Waterford was Ivor of Waterford. How old is Limerick? Let's see, how old is Limerick? I know Limerick goes back medieval times and beyond. How old is Limerick? We're a medieval city, I do know that. 1,100 years old. Limerick is it has been a Viking settlement, a medieval walled town, a Georgian city, and is now a modern, vibrant metropolitan area with a rich and historic hinterland. It was founded by the Vikings in 922.
Maybe another thing, to get philosophical with you, I mean, you probably don't, at least I didn't. I've worked in Dublin and Cork and Waterford, Clare, all over the country, and only moved back to Limerick maybe 3 or 4 years before I left. But you don't actually appreciate your home place until you leave it.
No, it's 8 years younger than Waterford.
Yeah. But you don't appreciate your home place. And Limerick is a beautiful city.
Oh, it's just a spectacular city.
It's the fact that I'm away from it now. That I'm actually seeing it
but doesn't being away bring a sort of clarity to things that you probably you take for granted, because you've seen the medieval side of Limerick, you see the Georgian side of Limerick, you see the modern side, and you see the side of Limerick that couldn't fit into any architectural description whatsoever, that you'd say to yourself, what the hell was wrong with the people that actually... I mean, I look at, for me, the greatest tragedy ever, well, several actually, in Limerick would be the knocking of my primary school, which was St. John's Convent in Garryowen, right next to St. John's Cathedral. Pardon?
Was it the Vikings who knocked it?
No, idiots in 1973 got it into their head that they thought one of our nuns, Sister Mary Power, Lord rest her now. I always blamed Sister Lawrence because she was the principal, and I used to say to Father Power, I used to say, may God forgive Sister Mary Power for knocking the school, or getting the school knocked and building it as a prefabricated flat building. That he said she didn't, it was Lawrence did it, Mary. And so it apparently turned out to be our lovely head nun, Sister Lawrence, who was on a holiday, an educational holiday in England, and saw these flat roofed schools. It's been knocked 3 times and rebuilt since, and our school was the same age as St. John's Cathedral beside it. It was 130 years old at that stage. It would have lasted, all they had to do was was put new flooring in and new walls. Everything was dark oak. I loved it. The only thing I didn't like were the stuffed animals, the stuffed birds that were in a cage outside. And if you had the misfortune of being put out of class for talking, you had to. Your only company was the dead birds in a case beside you. But Canucks changing the facade on Canucks and knocking Cruises Hotel. I mean, to me, that's utter. The French would never do something like that. They would restore everything to its former grandeur.
Yeah, but then again, I mean, they have, in fairness to the city council, I mean, obviously they've retained all the Georgian buildings, Perry Square.
Yes, they have.
You know, these areas, I mean, a lot of work has gone into those. I think possibly maybe one mistake would have been the location of UL.
Yes, they should have brought that closer to Limerick.
You know, and I think they're trying to make amends there by opening certain.
They bought down stores in Sarsfield Street, and I think that's going to be the part of the medical centre to try and bring things in. But that was but then they have a big expanse of land for the university.
Yeah, but that, you know, well, I mean, again, of course, they probably need all the land. There's just no place in the. But I think by moving some faculties back into the city would bring a bit of likeness.
Absolutely. If the engineering came back in and the medical centre and maybe the education centre.
But it's a pity, again, I mean, as I said, I'm just.
Or the music.
Rain is forecast here today, but I mean, normally I'm wearing shorts and a t-shirt and flip-flops. You know, normally the weather is very nice, but I mean, we're kind of disadvantaged in Ireland with the weather.
Oh, that's you know, people say, oh, but Mary, we wouldn't have it as green as it is. I could sacrifice the greenness of the country. We could spray it with water regularly to keep it green. You know, I just think it's the psyche, the Irish psyche. Oh, you know, just be glad.
Well, like if
green grass.
If you were guaranteed, I love the beach, I love the sea, I love swimming in the Mediterranean. You know, I mean, I used to go to Kilkee quite a lot. I did a lot of scuba diving in Kilkee.
You did?
Kilkee was a second home to me. But I always had a soft spot for the Mediterranean. I am looking forward to tomorrow. I don't think the beaches are open yet, but I will take a long walk from Torry Lamar to Coletta de Velez tomorrow. You know, just walk along the seafront. You can do it. It's, I don't know, half an hour's walk and back again. There's something nice about the sea. Limerick is a little bit, I suppose, disadvantaged in that it's an hour to drive to Kilkee, it's an hour to drive to Ballybunion. You know, I have a little scooter here. Again, if I was in Ireland, for years and years I had a motorbike, but I was hindered with the weather. Here I can have a scooter, I can go anywhere. You know, you don't worry about.
I haven't left my estate since March, apart from yesterday. Yesterday I went out and I went down as far as the station, which, as you know, Perry Square. It's within the 2 kilometers that were allowed, well within the 2 kilometers. But you just go stir crazy.
Yeah.
I wouldn't go shopping because, to be honest with you, it's flipping insane. You know, you're queuing up for miles just to get a few groceries. I went up there one day. I went to attempt to go shopping to get yogurt.
Yeah.
To make porridge pancakes, and I just lost the will to live. I sat in the car and I said, I'm not going in there. The queues were the whole way around, and they were letting two people in at a time into Dunn's. I think there was a maximum of 80 inside Dunn's in Childers Road.
Do you think that the lockdown, the COVID-19 coronavirus and the subsequent lockdown will change our values and the way we live?
in some respects, I hope so, but in other respects, I hope not, because what made Irish people in general, and continentals as well, it has to be said, stand out was their warmth and affection, and this idea of hugging people and
That's obviously very popular here in Spain.
kissing people on the cheek. And
That's not going to happen anymore, you know, here in Spain. I mean, I would, you know, meet anybody in a bar or restaurant, you give them the double kiss on the cheek. That's going to be hard for the Spanish to give that up. We don't really do it in Ireland.
yeah, but that's what I'm saying. I don't think people will be able to give it up. I think you see people already, and you see people on TV and people meeting, and they're automatically, you know, you look at England now. I was looking the other day, and they were out clapping for the NHS, and you had husbands with their wives and boyfriends, girlfriends with their arms around each other. And it's the most natural thing in the world for people to do, is to embrace. I would hate to think that we will get to that stage. I wouldn't like to live in a world that was like that. I'd be
my poor dog Odin doesn't know what's hit him, what has hit him, because I'm hugging him, kissing him, and talking to him, spending all my day with him. You know, he doesn't know what's going on. Isn't
yeah.
This is
yeah, no, I just think, I mean, as somebody who's on their own, and I don't have, well, I've one uncle and one aunt in England and in Wales, who I never see. But I just think I'm a hugger. I'm somebody who, when I meet you, I will hug you, and I will kiss you on either cheek, and that. I dread that people will actually go to the point where they're not, where they lose the warmth and everything becomes clinical, and this namaste, although namaste is lovely and I love to see people doing it, I just don't think it's ever going to compensate for a hug from people.
Yeah, but I suppose I found that's one of the things I found here, and as I said, it's a tiny village. People couldn't be nicer. But there was a thing when the lockdown started first, and everybody was unsure of themselves, that when you went out, you were wearing a mask. You know, you can't go to I can't go into my local shop unless I wear a mask and gloves. People were kind of deliberately staying back from each other, and there was kind of this feeling of mistrust. Yeah. Thankfully, that has left. And again, you see, the Spanish,
I think it will fade, Ger. I think people have short memories, and when it hasn't affected people personally, I think it's easier for the lockdown. Now, I have friends who would be pretty germophobic, in the sense that they're always, you know, they're in the best of times. Yeah. And one of my friends says, "Oh, I'll be worse now," do you know? And because she's always cleaning. I mean, I've known all my friends probably from the age of 4, some of them, and some of them for the last 30 years, 25 years, and they're all clean freaks, do you know?
Yeah. Well, we have to be. Well, I mean, one thing. No, I'm not. Put it this way, I'd never win Caller
Cousin Gas Houseman of the Year.
But it's one thing you do notice about living in, and the Spanish are OTT when it comes to cleanliness.
Yeah.
But out here, you kind of have to be because of the heat.
Yeah.
You know, one thing again.
I hope that changes. I hope cleanliness becomes and hygiene becomes a priority with people.
But you kind of have to out here, and of course the Spanish are very house proud and public civic minded. One thing I did notice, and there was a lot of trouble in Limerick about rubbish collection and bin man and bins here and what.
Oh, our bins are great. Our bins are great.
Yeah,
Mr. Binman, we have.
What they do here, I think is a much simpler, easier solution. You've got public bins. There's within 300 meters of me in circles. I can think of 3 or 4 of them offhand. Whereas every day I just take my rubbish and I put it in the public bin, which is on the ground, and it's open or is cleaned once or twice a day. And I don't have a bin inside my house.
Well, that is absolutely phenomenal, Ger.
Yeah.
But a friend of mine, it just reminded me, very good friend of mine, he's English, living in the north of Ireland, but he was like shocked the other day, a couple of weeks ago, just before the lockdown. He has a house here in County Limerick, and he was down visiting. He was on his way back up to, he lives with his mum and brother and father, and he was on his way back, and he had bought a pizza and had eaten the pizza, and he had bought a can of Coke or something, all rubbish, and a few other things, and he had eaten them, and he walked towards the public bin. You wouldn't believe it. You couldn't write it, Jerry. You could probably put it into your satirical article. I'm giving this to you now, but he walked to the bin in the public street and put the box, the pizza box, the can, and the other bag that he had, the paper bag, into the bin. And the Gardaí stopped him. And he said the male guard was really nice and was apologising and everything to him. But the female guard, he said, if she could have prosecuted him, she would. And he said to her, or they asked him his name, they asked him where he lived. He said he was living in the north of Ireland and that he was on his way back. And they wanted to know why he was littering, why he was putting stuff into a bin like that. And he said, are you going to prosecute me for putting my rubbish into the bin on the street? And the guard said, I'm sorry. He said, we're not. He said, we were just checking. And he said he knew by her that she would have if she got a chance. And the other guard was apologizing, started talking to him and all that. And apparently, not sure I whether it's true or not, but apparently they told him that if he had been living around the area, they would have been expecting him to bring his litter home and put it into his own bin.
Yeah, don't know. I mean, there's funny rules, but I mean, the system out here just does work. And I suppose, again, because of the heat, you can't, you have to be able to get rid of your rubbish once or twice a day.
Yeah.
Otherwise it will smell. I mean, you couldn't do what we do.
I've never heard of a situation like that before that happened to him. And, I just thought it's absolute madness. Did they think he was actually trying to avoid paying for a household bin and using but isn't that surely what we're being encouraged to do, is not litter? And he being English, they have a very strong sense of not throwing things on the footpath or not littering. He'd rather litter his car now than actually throw something on a road. And when you're being socially conscious or social conscious. But Ger, this was I know you're in a hurry. And we only had 40 minutes, and I'd imagine we've gone well beyond the 40 minutes.
It's siesta time.
Is it?
For me, yeah. That's the thing that you get used to out here. Again, during the summer, it's so warm, you do need a siesta.
Is it very hot there now?
At the moment, I don't know what the temperature is, 20-something, but I mean, it is dull today. I mean, we do get rain, there's a river in the village, but I mean, I've only
How
seen it.
tragic for you, Ger, that you
Yeah,
get.
but I've only seen the river with water in it maybe 3 or 4 times in 3 years, you know. But when it
Wow.
rains, it does rain. But then,
And
you know,
tell
I mean,
me, what's Odin thinking of life there?
well,
He's obviously adjusted.
oh, he has, yeah, yeah. I mean, he like I will. A lot of his friends are Spanish dogs, so I mean, he will now, if I tell him to come in Spanish, he'll do it, or sit in Spanish, he'll
And
do it.
he has his own Facebook page, Odin's Odyssey.
I haven't been on that in years. I presume he has, you know.
Yes, I'm a Facebook friend of Odin.
I try and limit his access to the internet, you know. I mean, he's still young, Mary, you know.
Yeah, but you're still going to do Odin's Odyssey, aren't you?
Yeah, yeah. It's a work in progress. Yeah.
Yeah. No, but I mean, for you, with You Cannot Be Serious as part of, we
Oh,
were
of course.
talking
Yeah,
about
yeah.
that all so long ago that you were
Yeah.
going to do storytelling with Odin.
Exactly. Okay.
That's going to be really quirky. Jared, thank you so much for
No
coming
problem,
on
Mary.
here
Thank you very much.
today.
Thank you very much for inviting me. It's nice to hear a Limerick accent, you know.
And enjoy your siesta.
I definitely will.
And buenas tardes.
Buenas tardes. Yeah.
Buenas tardes.
Yeah.
And Shindera Leshan Clor, that's the end of Wild Geese.
Estoy cansado. Sorry, I beg your pardon.
What's that?
I'm tired. Estoy cansado.
Estoy cansado.
Yeah.
Shindera Leshan Clor, that's the end of Wild Geese for today. Until the same time, next time, Lacuna of Day, with the help of God. But Walam Tugalir Chiacona, Sonasog is Gra. I wish you peace, happiness, and love. And Gadeshiv Slán.
Slán.
Slán.